welcome to Wetpixel Live. My name is Adam Hanlon. I'm the editor of Wetpixel, and we'd like to thank CCAM for sponsoring this episode. CCAM produce a range of housing, strobes, ports, and accessories, and you can check them out at ccam.com. So that's seacam.com. And while we're on the subject, I would like to introduce my our regular contributor, Alex Mustard. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Adam.
Oh, Alex, looks like you're missing diving quite a lot. What's going on?
Fair amount, yeah. So, no, I've just got out of the bath, actually. So.
You've been in the bath. Okay, well, yeah, okay. Why have you been in the bath, Alex?
No, I have been in the bath today. No, I've just thought I'd put my face mask on, it's make sure it still fits, make sure I know how to use it. Yeah. You've got some sort of stuff in your mouth there. I can't quite. Is it from your rebreather?
It is, yeah. So, but I can't talk very well with it. So I think that the message we're trying to get across is both of us are missing diving desperately, and we're resorting to gimmicks to make ourselves feel better. But we have an announcement along that line, along with some other people who've probably been missing diving quite a lot, in that the results of the UnderBathWater competition have been announced today. And I thought I would ask Alex to tell us a little bit about the competition. And to talk about his involvement with it, and then we'll run through the results. So over to you, Alex.
Well, thank you. It's actually a competition organised by Fourth Element and friend of both of ours, Saeed Rashid. But it's actually not a competition that everyone always thinks I'm intrinsically linked with it. And I think it's partly because the name is obviously an intentional rip-off of the Underwater Photographer of the Year, calling it the UnderBathWater Photographer of the Year. So everyone thinks the link. And obviously Saeed is part of the UPY team as well. And also because I appeared in the promotional video for the first one, but I wasn't a judge for the first one. My only involvement was being in the promotional video. And then when the next one came around, Saeed asked me to be in the promotional video again. Maybe we can run that now.
So, yeah, looking ahead at the next quarter, there's definitely, I want to review that at the end of this month, see how things are going. Definitely been challenging, but we're doing okay. Oh, hang on a minute. Somebody else is coming into the meeting. You're on mute.
Here we go. Microphone's on. Hi, everybody. It's me, Saeed.
Saeed?
Hey, Jim. I haven't seen you for ages.
How did you get in this meeting? You're not even one of the board.
I'm everywhere, Jim. I'll always be everywhere. Have you thought about it yet? Bathwater pictures for everybody. Come on. Bring back UnderBathWater Photographer of the Year. Come on. Woo!
Standing? Am I hearing this correctly? Are you telling me that you are not doing another Underwater Bath Photographer of the Year contest?
Sorry, Sir Alex.
This is the single most impressive thing that Fourth Element have ever done. Make it happen now!
Yes, Sir Alex.
Yeah!
Right away, Sir Alex. Sorry.
Yeah! Ooh! Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
Yep.
And I thought that would be my only involvement. I wasn't expecting to be involved more than that. And then everyone just assumed I was a judge. And then about a week ago, I got asked to be a judge. And it was actually a very last minute thing that I was involved in the judging of it. Obviously, I have been sharing posts about it and promoting it, but that was just really as a friend of Fourth Element and a friend of Saeed. I wasn't expecting to be involved in it, but it was actually really enjoyable to judge because the best pictures are incredible creations. And it's very much a creative endeavor. It's not just a photographically creative endeavor. It's about dressing sets. It's about coming up with ideas. It's about executing those ideas in a very confined space.
Yeah.
And, obviously, and people have a lot of fun with it along the way. And the results, you have to say, are incredible. And I think anyone who's, looking for inspirational imagery, should definitely cast their eye over these. They are, inspirational, and there's a lot of fun involved in it as well. And it's not supposed to be taken too seriously, but there's no doubt that these results are the result of, very dedicated and very serious underwater photography.
So what are the rules, Alex? How does it work? It needs to be in a bath or
You're asking the wrong person.
Yes, sorry.
Because I'm not especially involved in it. It's generally supposed to be as rule-free and as fun, as purpose. So yes, it's about using water that you've got access to within your house.
Right.
To use, so sink, bath, obviously not everyone has a bath, so there's flexibility to use different in water, but it's supposed to be bathwater pictures. There are several categories. The categories are really designed to encourage people to be creative. I was joking in the run up to it that people who've got access to Lego don't have time because they're dealing with being locked down with kids. And people who are locked down with kids have Lego but no time to do their bathwater. But yeah, people were super creative, lots and lots of different ideas, and really, really interesting to see across the different categories. So I think we should look at the pictures, not look at me wearing a mask on my head.
So the winner is, the overall winner is Barry with this picture of, I guess, not being an expert, I have to admit, these are Lego characters that are busy working subsea, apparently.
Yes, so there were 2 overall winners, one for sort of amateur photographers and one for professional photographers. And it's, it's difficult because obviously, quite how you define a professional is always a little bit, dubious. Is anyone who entered this competition really a professional? So most of these people are, serious divers, and no one is a professional bath photographer. But anyway, Barry won the amateur class, and Miko, who won it, the previous edition, won the professional class. But yeah, Barry's is an amazing creation, and they're really worth looking up on Instagram and looking for the behind the scenes videos. Because this is, you can see a bath towel there. He's got sediment laying it down, but he actually put a huge amount of effort into reducing the visibility of his bathwater to create this scene. And what I've learned from this competition is that Lego floats. So it's actually very difficult to take pictures of Lego underwater because it's really hard to make it stay underwater.
I was going to say he's got all these things apparently hovering in mid-water. That must have taken. I mean, it must have been a real puppet show, trying to keep the various bits.
There's lights on them as well. Really impressive. Really impressive scene, full of atmosphere. And I think that's part of the fun of it. It's really the aim is to make it look as unbath-like as possible. And I think people definitely react to pictures well that, when they first glance at them, they don't really immediately notice that they're not, they're created in a bathtub.
Yeah, fantastically creative.
And I think that Miko, the winner of the professional category, is actually an incredibly beautiful picture. And I think, and actually when he won it last time, UPY had recently announced, and we'd had Greg LeCoeur's winner of the crab eater seals on the iceberg, and so he did a photo of a seal on an iceberg underwater. Is kind of, so there's quite a lot of homage to great pictures done in this competition. This one, I don't think I'm not aware of it being an homage to a particular picture, but it's a very creative scene. So here he's actually in a bathtub, created an above water picture underwater. In a bathtub, which is incredible. And this was actually taken when he was locked down in a hotel room.
Wow.
And it's made using a small amount of modeling clay that his daughter happened to have, and towels and sheets and things from the hotel room. And so just incredible. And the result is beautiful.
It is, It's it's very kind of Paul Nickel and Brian Skerry-esque, isn't it? It's sort of got that kind of, you can imagine it being on an environmental sort of campaign about the plight of the polar bear, or it's
it's really
in the bath, wonderful,
phenomenal,
fantastic.
And then so those are the 2 overall winners, and then the others are divided up into categories. And the first is kind of is for pictures involving Lego, just because it's good to divide things up. It gives people something to shoot for. And the winner of the Lego category is a photo by M Ocean Images. The competition is free to enter on Instagram. So you just literally upload the pictures to Instagram and tag the right people, and you're in the mix for winning. So the winners obviously mainly got Instagram names. And it's clearly intending to be a cenote type picture, even though it's got coral growing in it, but we won't worry too much about that. But just it's a picture that makes you want to go diving. It's Lego. You have to, particularly when you see them on the phone on Instagram. the first view of this is, oh, that looks like a good dive site. Where's that? Oh, it's someone's bath.
Again, I mean, though technically, I mean, they've done a really, really good job of creating, of controlling the fall of the light here. I mean, obviously, they've somehow blacked out the surface to get the hole where the light's coming through, and then put the light through that hole. And they've got the.
But they managed to divide it into beams that I don't know how.
Yeah, incredible.
Done that. I don't know whether they've got something above the water to block it out. Maybe just a hand pushed through the beam so that it creates these beams. I don't know. There's more holes, more dart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 holes, so it could be fingers maybe creating the beams. Yeah, very.
It's really, really clever. Really clever. Yeah. And, it's caught the diver and it's caught the coral. Fantastic. Yeah, really good. Good.
And then the runner-up in that category is by Now Underwater Photography, which is Arno. Yeah. And, very, very, cute bit of Lego. But the interaction between the two individuals, a bit of background. And actually, within a bathtub, creating an image that has no feel of a bathtub is quite a hard thing to do. It's quite hard in most bathtubs are bright coloured. It's quite hard to shoot dark backgrounds in a bathtub. It takes a lot of preparation. Even when you're planning a relatively simple image, there's actually a lot of detail. And this one, it's got the bioluminescence on the lure of the predator. So it's a very much, it's got a what happened next feel to it.
I'd love to know. I wonder if this was shot with continuous light or with a really restricted beam on a strobe. I mean, obviously the fall off of the light, maybe use a black background. I don't know, but anyway, it's very clever. Because...
Yeah, I think a lot of people tend to put a black sheet in the bath.
Yeah.
And then put their models in, and then they usually use selective lighting with snoots because it's the only way really not to be spraying light all over the place. But and a lot of the entrants do, if you go on their Instagram accounts, did put behind the scenes videos. A lot of people, put their phone up on the wall while they were doing it all, and it's really funny to watch.
Yeah. So next we've got the self-isolation portrait, and the winner is Tony Reed, I think. His Instagram handle is @TonyRobertoReed, and it's a kind of bit of a different take, isn't it?
And it's I think one thing we all know from competitions is that if you are able to stand out in a competition, you've got a chance of doing particularly well. And I think the judges will like some of the detail in this, the fact that he'd actually gone to the effort of making a message in his makeup, in that he's got this beaten up side of his face and this clean side of the face, talking about some of the issues of lockdown, and then just the fun of doing the photo instead of in a bath, in a toilet, which is fun, but also very difficult. It's not it's not irrespective of everything else, it's not easy to fit an underwater camera into a toilet. And it's actually under the water of the toilet, as you can see. So. Yeah, really.
There was a scene in Train Spotting, the original Train Spotting, which was obviously where there was a scene from taken from under the water of the toilet bowl, and it definitely reminds me of that. It's definitely got a look of that. So so maybe it's an homage to Train Spotting.
I think that's a big part of the fun of the competition, is that rather than simply just create something, people often look to create stuff that's inspired by something else. It's definitely part of the fun. Yeah. And then runner-up in that category was Ellie Ray's photo here of Sean. And this is an amazing. I love it because it's graphically a very strong shape.
It is. Yeah.
It's obviously also talks of the madness of lockdowns and isolation and quarantine and all those things.
Yeah.
But also just for Sean posing in the picture, to be able to pose with your eye at the water level and open.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really difficult to do. There's real it's and really cool. It's a graphically very strong, image works well.
Yeah.
Ellie comments that they're lucky that they have a blue bathtub, which is quite unusual. Yeah. And just the whole idea of the shot, really, really interesting, really different.
And again, the idea of this sort of head, stylized head, kind of floating completely separately. There's no sign of the rest of Sean, which I think is very clever. It's again, obviously you've really posed him really carefully to get it.
No, I mean, it's I think the photos are really worth looking at and thinking about, which is I think what's great about it. And then another highly commended in this category is this photo here from PS at PSPOV Pia photo, which, you know, the makeup on this is incredible.
Yeah.
You know, that's, I presume it's a self-portrait, and it's I think, you know, she's covered herself in this incredible makeup, and then actually here it's beginning to dissolve and come off her, and, you know, really, really interesting image.
I mean, I think I have to say, I think I can see that this image would do quite well in classic kind of underwater photography competitions. Obviously, you don't know the resolution, but it's such a kind of dramatic, different image. You can see this doing quite well in classic portrait kind of photography competitions. I think it's amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And probably almost a little bit too highbrow for
yes. But beautifully lit. I mean, again, control of the lighting and, you know, picking out the bits that need to be lit. Fantastic. Yeah, really, really amazing. So then we have zoom in, which is
it's kind of the macro category.
Yeah, and the first one's quite obviously an homage to one of your pictures, Alex, I think.
Yeah, and I have to say that in the judging of this, I didn't mention that to the other two judges, and the other two judges had picked this as their favourite before I told them that. And obviously with only 3 judges, 2 votes for a favourite, it's already won before I even spoke about it. Yeah. And what they loved about it was they particularly loved the eye contact between the anemone fish and the eggs, and the fact that in the eggs you can see the reflection of the adult. And so they really like that whole part of it. So just a really cool little macro shot, recognizable subject, behavior, you know. So very cool.
Again by Arno. I think the actual eggs look like they look like the chain of a bath plug, don't they? I think that's what it is.
Oh yeah, we didn't really. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
So really clever. I mean, obviously just using. I don't know how someone gets the inspiration to do that. I think that's fantastic. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is a bath chain. You're right. Yeah, that's really cool.
It's a plug chain, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought it was probably a bit of jewelry when we were doing it, but
well, I thought maybe it was ball bearings or something, but then I've just realised they were linked together. So
no, and that's I think that's So
definitely in the bath then.
Yeah, and then the other photo, which is by Meg Latro, photographer called Tro, is a very humorous picture. Probably another anemone fish and an anemone. Yeah. But I think this one we really like that. You know, it's a very cute picture. It's very well composed. I think clever use of props to create the scene. Yeah. But also just that little bubble in the picture. Yeah. Super cute. Really makes a difference. It looks, that you've got the double reflection in it and everything. Yeah.
The bubble with the reflection. I have to say, I think without the bubble with the reflection, I think it would probably be very cute, but probably wouldn't have quite. It definitely makes it. Yeah. Again, I presumably it was a moment because that's how bubbles happen. I don't know, but it's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it said in the comment I just saw on the webpage there that there were a lot of nudibranchs and things like that in this picture, and people creating pictures that, at first glance you assume they were taken in the ocean. Yeah. But I think both of these have those kind of extra, cuteness factor, and really draw you in. And the use of, I think particularly, the use of interesting props, not just buying an off-the-shelf prop and then it's all about just photographing the off-the-shelf prop, but actually doing something a little bit more with that to create, there's definitely, the judges definitely like seeing something that's got a bit of I made this myself, I did this, I adapted something that wasn't, a model of a nudibranch is a model made to look like a nudibranch. Yeah. Whereas if you take, I don't know if these are bits of candy or something like that to make an anemone tentacles, or the one above you use ball bearings or bathtubs to be eggs. That level of creativity, I think, is really well appreciated.
And I think that it is a slightly tongue-in-cheek competition. This as well. It's not take itself too seriously, and trying to sort of recreate the ocean in your bathtub. That's not really the point, is it? It's to create something slightly different. So and
it's. I think it's about getting that balance right. In that it's to create something that goes beyond your expectations a little bit. In that, if you make a a life-size macro model of an underwater species, and you photograph it the same way you do in the ocean, and it looks like it does in the ocean, well, that's not really a big surprise. Whereas, if you create a wide-angle scene in your bathtub and photograph that so it looks like a full-scale wide-angle ocean scene, that's incredible. But because you're making something tiny look like a big scene, or and so I think that's what often marks these out. And with these macro shots, it's actually creating something that's clearly in a bathtub, but also represents something people can relate to. Sure. Right, the next category is positive, negative, and it's the black and white category. And I think black and white in the bathtub is quite challenging, actually. I think this was a category that was more of a challenge for a lot of the photographers. And there's probably probably space for a bit more thinking in it. And the winner in this is by @LZG95. Laura's her name. With this photo here of just the silhouettes around the bath plug hole, which I think is a really simple idea, but nicely executed, of the diver and the sharks. I presume this is done by having cutouts of these shapes floating on the surface of the bath. And I think it's a pity that the timing of this shot, that one shot that goes into the plug, I think, I'm surprised that they didn't take another frame or two and get that in a better position. But apart from that, it's really cool. And I think you could probably have made more of a swirling feel around the plug. I think you could have made
the drain thing.
So I think it's a really great idea, but I think there's actually an even better image in it. I realize it's a bathtub competition, but I
think I'd have tweaked the contrast slider a bit as well, which again may not be. I think I'd have given the silhouette a slightly harder edge to it, with a bit more darkness in the silhouettes. One of the things you mentioned, that the issues of shooting black and white in the bath, and that's true. Although the majority of people's baths are white, so you sort of have got one side of the positive negative almost baked in. And I think maybe the trick is to do more of the other, so to do more of the positive, possibly, But it's a very creative idea.
And then
the sea panda.
Yeah, the runner-up are the orcas in the ice, and this is another shot that at first glance it's taken by une plongeuse, which I guess means is by another female photographer, and this is another shot that you almost double take at. It could be a Norwegian fjord or an Antarctica type shot with orcas in black water with white mountains and white icebergs behind. And it's only when you start to look in detail, you think, almost the first thing I question is, how come there are two males swimming next to each other? It's almost I'm asking that question first, rather than, why is the mountain actually made of a plastic bottle? Things like that. It's one of those pictures that you really, certainly on Instagram, you're like, that's not an underwater, that's not a bathtub. Oh my God, yes it is.
Yeah, that's right. Why are the two males? Yeah. Excellent. I mean, super clever. And it's what you're going back to what you were saying earlier, this idea of, it is recreating a natural scene, but it's creating a wide angle scene of large mammals in your bathtub, complete with the sort of Arctic background that they live in. Yeah, amazing, really amazing.
Yeah, and then the final category is probably my favorite category of the categories, and that's the animal behavior, or the behavior category, indoor animal behavior. Obviously not real behavior, but creating, wildlife portraits in the bathtub. Yep. And I think this first one is a octopus fishing lure, but with black ink squirted around it into the water, creating wonderful shapes and textures. Yep. And the red octopus with the basically black and white rest of the frame looks really fantastic.
It does, and presumably shot back towards the surface, so there's no sign of it being in the bath. It's fantastic.
I think it's just shot across the bath, or I think it's shot down the bath to the non-plug end.
Okay.
It's shot horizontally because when you squirt stuff into the you can see that ink is coming down from the top.
It is,
But just I think absolutely fantastic, and a really it's quite a common effect to people photographing ink dripping into into fish tanks and things like that as a photographic thing. So exploiting that in bath photography is really good. In a bath, you don't have a lot of chances to redo it, because once you put a bit of ink in, you then got to empty the bath, fill it up again before you can have another go. Whereas in a small fish tank or in a glass, you empty the glass and just shoot it again. So I think that it's really, really effective. And then using this idea of ink with a subject that actually naturally produces ink, I think Pia's done a really nice job with that.
Agree. Yeah. It does definitely has a behavioural feel to it too, which I really like. Yeah.
And then the second shot is a Lego shark, I guess a great white shark, looking, really, and this is by Now Underwater again by Arno, looking, really classic shark, mouth open, bit of motion blur, coming past the lens. It's a class. It's an ideal, in your face shark shot, just happens to be made out of Lego.
Yeah. I mean, again, the blurring the background out has really made the image, hasn't it? With this, the shark's mouth coming straight at you, but everything else is the background completely blurred, and you've got, because it's blurred as well, there may be a bit of camera motion that you managed to get the blur, which gives the shark this idea that it's coming straight at you.
No, it works really well. And I think both these are very, very strong images.
Very really clever, amazingly clever.
Really nice. And I just think it's like I said, I wasn't not particularly involved with this, even though everyone thinks I am. And it is such a privilege to judge, because there's so much hard work put into it, and there's so many ideas. It really is a really creative thing, and I have no idea what the future holds for it, because obviously hopefully we're not all going to be isolated in our houses again after this period. But I do think it adds something very important to the underwater photography tapestry. So I'm really pleased to see it happen.
It'd be nice to see it continuing in some form, wouldn't it? Definitely. So thank you very much, Alex. We'll add the link to the results. The results have been announced by one of the sponsors, Fourth Element. Alex is going to go and disappear into his bathtub now, because his fins are drying out. So thank you very much again, Alex.
No problem.
And I'd like to thank CCAM again for sponsoring the episode. We really couldn't do it without our sponsors, so we very much support them. Please go out and support them too. Please feel free to drop any comments about the wonderful results of the competition, and to drop us a like if you enjoyed the episode. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you again soon.